very curious. And so are the events and just even having an awards and association and. And we'll have to get Barry on here at some point to talk about what she's seen over at least 7 years, if not longer, and how it's changed. But so much online has changed. All right, here's Corey. I see the mic icon has come on. How you vibing today, Corey?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you. You sound great.
All right, I was having some Bluetooth issues with my headphones taking over every second. Sorry about that.
Worries, no worries, right? It's part of the landscape. You know it because you're a sound expert, but a lot of us are like, wait, what's going on? What is Bluetooth? I still can't quite explain it to you, but I know it can sometimes be. I have my own hiccups with it. Obviously, of course, I have to also hit send and all sorts of things. Anyway, how are you vibing today, Corey? Keeping in mind, how are you vibing?
I'm doing well, doing well. It's a busy day, but I don't want to complain about that. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Now I'm coming down from in case you missed it, the awards are Sunday. They're barely 72 hours away, not even. So there was a lot going on. Now my week is finally sort of subsiding where I'm still sending emails. I have a couple important things to do, but it's not 50 things or people coming at me at once. I'm very excited and only a little bit nervous, and that just has switched in the last not even 24 hours. Yeah, yeah, because really now it's Latrice and Lance's show with Mel happening, and certainly it will be the nominees and of course the winners. This is about them and what they are doing. So Corey, you started the association. I think October. I might have the month wrong. November 2019 or right around there, right? Or right about 3 years ago.
Actually, no, we started right when the pandemic hit. The
Or
short of
later. Okay.
Yeah, it was a March 2020. We started the Facebook group around it was a little either late February, early March of 2020. So that kind of took it off, and we really, the idea when I started was I was just trying to solve the problem of like I just felt like there was like a miscommunication or just the vibe I was getting in some of the Facebook groups I was in when with the podcasting space, especially with Black podcasters, was it just some of the messages weren't connecting. There was like a missing translation between the majority of the white podcasters in some of these groups and what the needs and the questions that some Black podcasters had. And I don't think, especially when it came to content creation, I think there was a misunderstanding in that space too. So I didn't really see much in the active in most of the Facebook groups at the time that were dedicated to Black podcasters and trying to solve that problem. So I just, at the suggestion of an associate of mine, she's like, start a Facebook group. So we started as a Facebook group, and then it just grew up. I mean, grew when the pandemic happened. Like literally, like about maybe a couple of weeks after we got started, with everybody just trying to deal with the pandemic and starting to learn about podcasting in our community. It just started. It was just like every day it was just like more and more people were joining, and then it just took off.
It did indeed. I don't think when I started August 2019, and I started with a podcast that was already in production. I just was kind of helping it be, as some folks like to say, more consistent, but also I had free access downtown Brooklyn here to a recording studio. But the first thing I did after I got off the phone and they said, yes, help us get this space. Yes, producing. Didn't totally know what that was specific to podcasting and more so to their podcast, which is on me. But I remember doing a 2 or 3 day deep dive on Google, like just what is podcasting right now? Where's the sort of landscape of creating, but also business and definitely these are Black podcasters. Um, what's out here, and I didn't see much. I wasn't looking for community, ironically. I don't even know that that occurred to me. I think I was looking more for academies and courses, virtual courses, and those sorts of things. But I remember seeing sort of like, well, where are the black experts? Where are the black voices? And a whole conversation, or really serious conversations unto itself, some of which are happening inside the association. I'm very happy that you have that for us, and being there. So this more spotlighting on you. What have you seen? Right, it's been 2.5 years. Right, from the world doesn't really know what a pandemic is. Now we definitely know what a pandemic, among other things, are. What have you seen? Are you seeing that some of those questions, um, and concerns are being answered to even a little extent, or hopefully a more moderate, if not extreme extent, as far as what our needs are as Black podcasters?
That's a great question. It's like I'm on like a little bit on both sides. There has been growth in certain spaces, certain places, and then to me, there hasn't been. As we've I think over the past year, especially since the George, the whole Black Lives Matter, George Floyd stuff, where black voices were being pushed, by corporations and just the media during that time period, it just like ramped up more awareness of black creators and black voices in these spaces. But I still, because of the associations where it's at now, I don't have as much time to go into the Facebook groups and stuff like I used to, just to answer questions and stuff. But I mean, we're still seeing the same frustrations, the same questions, the same issues that I was seeing from when I first got started. Like you, when I decided to, one of my friend and I were talking about starting a podcast. I was doing deep dives. I was in one of the things I did notice was, excuse me, we didn't have enough black creators. We didn't have enough black representation as far as expertise goes. Um, which to me was kind of understandable considering, when you look at the Edison research, we weren't a huge portion of listenership or producers in podcasting before the pandemic. It was typically between 11, to 15%, fluctuating year by year. I happened to get into podcasts back in the early 2000s because I was always into the web and stuff. So, and as a programmer, I was always looking, learning about new technologies and stuff. So I knew about podcasts, but for years I forgot about them. And then a friend introduced me to one that somebody who we followed, and I was just doing deep dives in there. But as far as what I've seen I've seen growth, and I'm glad to see we're moving in that direction with things like what you guys are doing with the Black Podcasting Awards, what you see what Talib is doing with Afros and Audio, and we're starting to see more black creatives coming to the forefront. I know we have I haven't met her directly, but Barry of Podcast in Color, or we see some of these other voices. They're people who've decided to step up and really put themselves out there and try to solve some of these problems. So as they gain more awareness, we're seeing more black creatives in the forefront, more taking more expert roles, becoming more thought leaders in this space. So I mean, like anything new or young, it takes time for it to catch on. It takes time for it to develop. It takes time for it to level the playing field, so to speak, in regards to the experts and those who are just looking to capitalize off of what's going on in there. But I do still the fact that I still continue to see some of the same questions over and over and some of the same frustrations means that even though we've made progress, we still have some issues in regards to communicating messages and creating infrastructure for some of those podcasters who are for those people who are trying to get into podcasting that don't or aren't aware of who that these groups our groups exist. So I hope that answers your question. I know it was a lot.
No, no, that's good, right? You're seeing a lot, and if I can use this verb, commanding a lot, right? As the association dealing with a lot of different people, I presume a lot of different and certainly overlapping needs. I can get you to laugh here in a second on one thing that I definitely have seen, working with the awards over these more than 2.5 years now. I forgot the other point I was going to make. The big thing I can say, and we've discussed offline before, and we'll hopefully talk about it more and then come up with an offering here, maybe by the end of the year, is, but I've listened to, I don't know how many hundreds of reels, these 5 minute submission reels that we asked for the awards. Somewhere around 500, maybe more. Sound, 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 sound. The sound quality is not there for, I don't know what percentage I have to go through. Let's say half, maybe 60% of them.
Yeah.
And what's frustrating for me is, again, I don't have a number. May have to get one though. A good chunk of them, a good chunk of them. That's the only issue. The content is there, the energy is there, the mo, if I could call it that, like why, what their podcast about. That's there, but the sound is, it's not necessarily bad. I haven't heard too much like just horrible sound. I'm happy to say, definitely not with these your submissions. Like two or three, but I'm hearing a lot of like mediocre. Like they're not going to compete with, we have three nominees in the audience. They're not going to compete. They're not going to compete with the three nominees in the audience, or actually multiple nominees in the audience this year, and they're just not. And I'm very curious to dig into like, well, right, what is the setup on their side, and what are the tweaks? Because when I first got into podcasting, and I'm kind of coming from quote unquote film and TV, and definitely event production. Otherwise, a lot of people want to throw money at the problem. But what I see a lot of experts say, and what I've experienced firsthand as a podcast producer, is you don't need to spend that much money. Get a really good setup, whether it's in a studio or whether it's remote, and just stay with that, which also makes the editing much easier, because you're keeping the sound, not just the quality, but the source of it consistent, and then go forward with that. Um, what else do you want to say about what you've observed, let's say on the upside, Corey, in the 2.5 years
Well,
since you started the association?
since you brought up the audio thing, I would love to talk about that because it kind of goes into part of why another issue that that motivated me to start the Facebook group. Now, some of you guys were some of the people in the audience, some people might be listening to this, were a part of our Facebook group, and it was always the ongoing joke or conversation about audio versus content, right? And we would always, the audio side would always be like, well, audio first. And that was one of the motivations for me doing my first ever presentation with Daryl with Daryl, who's an audio engineer at Afros and Audio, where we were trying to solve we were trying to figure out a way to communicate and solve what some of the observations we were noticing in regards to um, our community and what they feel, how they respond to the conversation about audio and the investment they need to make in improving the audio. So I look at the audio situation um, from different perspectives. One is education. One is standard, having a standard for yourself, for your product, understanding what kind of product you're putting out, understanding that you're creating a product, right? So the engineer in me, the web dev engineer in me, I always look at a problem and try to reverse engineer it and try to get to what I feel or what I may glean as the root of the problem. And I always took the pushback about the audio as two things. One, education. Audio, learning about audio has a learning curve. It is a science. There's a learning curve to it, and there's a lot of things you have to be aware of and understand in order to achieve even a monicum of some success in audio. Um, then there's the resource part. Now, for a lot of people, they might look at my setup. They might see my setup or see a podcaster setup on YouTube or see it somewhere or walk into a studio and be like, oh my gosh, I need all of this equipment, or I need this, I need that. Like how everybody wants to get an SM7B, right? And spend $500 on a short SM7B or one of those other fancy microphones, not realizing, those same companies make really good quality, lower end budget microphone. I hate to say budget because they just make lower price or price for that particular market, like a SM58 or something like that, where you can still achieve great audio on a budget. And so that to me, that's the way it goes. It's the education, it's the resources, and then part of it too is we tend to be a proud people, and I think a lot of times people's egos get in the way of that. And I've had pushback from members in the Facebook group that would say, you don't need good, you don't have to do all that. Just start with your phone. And I'm like, I'm always about like start where you're at, but eventually you should have a plan, an active plan on how to improve, how to get to that part. SM58 is $100, and call me elitist, call me whatever. But if you can't figure out a way to get $100 to get a mic, then you're in the wrong game. There has to be some kind of investment. There has to be some kind of plan into this work that you're going to do. And if you really want to reach those goals of of having a large audience, monetization, and all that stuff, you have to put some investment and sometimes the time to learn it. So when we did our chat last year, Daryl and I were trying to figure out what are the key core concepts that you need to understand just to get decent audio. Not doesn't have to be crazy, because some of that stuff you can do in post production, and we could talk about hiring editors and all that stuff later. But how can you put out the best product possible with you have without things? So things like learning about mic placement, learning about reflections, and learning about what type of room to record in versus what type of room not to record in, how to use what you already have, blankets, stuff like that, to your closet or something. Or if you have a closet full of clothes and you could walk in, maybe sit on the floor in there and record, like just like little tips and tricks that you can help you just take that one step. Because I understand financial resources. People don't have $2,000-3,000 to dump it to create a whole elaborate studio and invest in all these equipment. And a lot of this equipment is built for music, so a lot of it is overkill in a lot of ways. So just trying to help educate people in that space. And one of my issues when I started the association, I was going to say BPA, the association, was I was seeing too many people saying, you need this, you need that. And I kind of felt it was like, you're trying to push your product, you're trying to push your course, you're trying to push this on people who are telling you time and time again in the comments, I can't afford $100 mic, but you want them to purchase your $1,000 program on how to on how to edit and do audio cleanup and stuff. So that's where I was kind of like, there's an issue here and there's a problem here, and the only way to solve that, which is why if you were in the Facebook group, I didn't allow people to comment, to promote certain things. If you wanted to promote a product, you had to come through me first, and we were going to work out how this was going to benefit the members of the group first. Especially since we had we had over 2,000 members. I'm looking at quantity, and quality. So if you want to pitch to my group, we got to talk about how you're gonna make it affordable for them to offer let's talk about how you're gonna make it affordable for them. How is it going to bring value to them? But yeah, the audio thing is a big problem. It still is. And I think a lot of it just has to do with education, and people seeing from people who look like us talking about it more. We need more Black audio engineers. We need more Black audio editors out here putting together the content on YouTube. I could do a search right now on YouTube, and I'm going to see I'm going to see bigger names, and they don't look like us. And that's the truth. And we need to really start pushing that. And maybe I think that will help people understand, and then putting it in a way where our people can, can gravitate towards and adapt to it as fast as possible. Because this is, no matter how much you add video or whatever, it's still an audio format. And I can't quote his name, but there was a movie director who said that a movie without audio is nothing, right? So audio, whether you're doing video or just straight audio, is always going to be important. And people are listening with their ears. Your ears are sensitive, and you will get ear fatigue. And if your audio is terrible, no matter how great your content is, people are not going to listen, no matter how much they sit there and lie in the comments and say they'll listen to bad audio. No, you won't. Not for more than 5 minutes.
Some people do, but I think it's few and far in between. And
then you have hearing loss, and you need to go see a doctor. Because if your ears are not hurting when there's a high frequency or some kind of low rumble, then there's something going on with your hearing.
Maybe. I think of
you
it
have
this
a high
way,
threshold
right?
of pain.
Well, I don't, not for audio. That's one of the reasons I haven't spent a lot of time, ironically, on YouTube. Overall, every once in a while I'll go down a YouTube rabbit hole, but often what disrupts it is the audio. I'll get an audio that's subpar, right? Average audio is fine, right? It doesn't have to be. I think people might hear us saying in this conversation, quality audio. That doesn't mean, Michael Jackson,
Right.
multi-million dollar, as you already said in a way, studio. It doesn't mean, here's what it means for me. Let me be explicit. And then I want to jump more into the association and the offerings, like one of my favorites in there, the book club. Quality audio means for a podcast or even any sort of YouTube, I don't enjoy speaker phones, period. So I don't want to hear recordings of, you could have the best content in the world. If it sounds like a speakerphone to me, I might get past the 5 minute mark, but I'm probably not gonna be able to hang on past the 15, 20 minute mark. And there's science, which I think you've already hinted at in this conversation, behind if the audio is not there, it doesn't matter if it's recorded or if it's live, we tune out or it just even upsets us. I think I've got this right, but biologically. And so we keep it, we click away and keep it moving. And there's obviously more and more out here for our attention. All
Right.
right, we'll come. Let me put a pin in that
Well,
because
I
we
just want to say
definitely
one
will
last
come.
thing, just so people, it just needs to be a pleasurable listening experience
Yep.
for a person. That's about it. It doesn't have to be, and most audio engineers will tell you that how you record it is probably the most important part of recording it versus the post production part, because the post production adds other problems on top of what you already have anyway. No matter how crystal clear your audio is, you can introduce other things into your recording by processing it, over processing it too much. So how you record it is important, and just if you think about how it can be a pleasurable listening experience for your audience, then you're on a good path right there. And you should reach out to people like myself and other people in the industry and ask, because you'd be surprised. That's how I learned, just by asking questions.
I hear that, and definitely will pick up, right, not a new conversation for us, but first
Yeah.
time in public. So the association's been around. There's quite a number of people. I think I see at least two or three members here. No, what, three besides us two. What's got you kind of giddy or excited about the association right now? It's been going a while. Afros and audio, we're talking about among various topics in the group. But what's right now as of late has you really excited or geeked about the association?
I think the biggest thing for me is, um the biggest thing that I get geeked about, and it's also my motivator, is the feedback from members in the group, the loyalty to the community, the support of the community. Um, sometimes, like many of us, we question ourselves. What are we doing? What am I doing? Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I'm like, thinking of all the work I have to do, and I'm like, what? Why did I do this to myself? Why am I putting myself through all of this? And then I'll meet with a member, and they'll tell me how much is the community is important for them, and how much it has helped them on their journey to get to wherever their goals are at. And I think for me, that's the thing that gets me giddy every time. And the connections that are formed in this, watching the friendships grow, watching the networking grow. Like, it's almost like, it's become bigger than what I thought it was going to be. I just looked at it from a place where people can learn, right? But then I'm starting to see and learn myself, like it's more than that, so it really is a community. So that's what gets me giddy. Right now, also what's getting me giddy is I'm actually working on my plan for 2023 to start really focusing on on one, how to bring more value to the group, um, how to bring more value to the members of the group, but two also, looking to now expand the membership base. One of my biggest concerns since we started was, originally I was like, oh, we didn't get enough members. I have a Facebook group of 2,000 and only 50 of you guys came over. And during the past couple of months, I learned that that was fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I look at, like, I watch startup companies and stuff, and one of the biggest things is scaling, right? You want to make sure you scale your community or your business, your podcast, where you can actually handle what, when you scale, you can handle the users and the demand of the users. So I'm kind of glad we didn't start with 2,000 members in the association, because it allowed me to make mistakes. It allowed me to be able to connect with the community more, to observe them better, to figure out, to let the community determine what this community is going to be for itself. Um, and allow me to do that. So now it's like, okay, we kind of have an idea of what we are, who we are, and we have those very strong natural relationships that are happening in the group. Now it's time to really start looking to bring people in that fit that mold, and really letting people know, let them know, become more aware of what we're trying to do here and what our goal is.
Love that. I didn't know. I was like saying something more. I'm like, nope. And thank you for going on this journey. Was reflecting a little bit earlier today, and I'm like, wait, how did he get in this lane? And I was like, I kind of know, because to me, you're this brainiac that's coming right from all this technical knowledge, web, audio, music, and otherwise.
Mhm.
And I'm like, how do you get on this community path? But one of the things I've seen from a different hat that I wear, without going into the specifics of the hat, is virtual communities really are, I don't know if they've exploded yet, but right there, we want to connect with, um, cap lovers, or sneakerheads is not a new thing by any stretch, right? Or even virtual communities. But the tools are out here, right? With Mighty Networks, where the association is on, Circle, Facebook groups obviously have been around for a while, and. So thank you for going on this journey. Thank you for having and hosting us. I love going in. I guess I wrote this in an email, but I haven't necessarily said it verbally in a recording, because it's often there's a lot of humor and just the regular chat, if I can say it that way. And then the sort of post, I'm always learning something new, from something you post, or Talib, or someone else, that's may or may not be going on or needs to be going on in podcasting. So I like that I'm learning and or laughing, pretty much every time I click in. I go in, not every day, but most days, depending on what's on my desk. All right, I see we're coming to the half an hour. We could probably be here, depending on what's on your desk, for hours, and we might do that someday, but not this day. What else do you want to let people know about the association right now?
I want to let people know this is your home. This is where you belong. I think uh, you look for validation, and I think the fact that I've had people reach out to me that I've kind of quote unquote followed or idolized in this industry, saying, hey, I want to talk to you, I've been meaning to get in touch with you, I want to learn more about what you guys are doing. I think this is a good I think we have created a great community where no matter where you're at in your podcasting journey, you can thrive, you can succeed, that we don't pass judgment. We rarely, I don't want to say we bump heads, but we do have exchanges of ideas that that challenge each other as well. So for me, it's like, if you're a Black creative and you're really serious about what you want to do, and you have serious goals for yourself in this podcasting space, or just creating in the audio space, then you need to be here. Whether you are a podcaster or an editor or a copywriter or a marketer, we need you in this community. We want you in this community because we all have something to offer. We all have life experiences. We all have personal experiences as well as professional experiences that we can all learn and grow from. So I just tell people this is your home. Whether you know it or not, whether you're ready to accept it or not, but this is your home. And when you're ready, you sign up and you're there. And we will welcome you with open arms, like we do everybody who comes into the group.
Shaking my head up and down. That, yeah. Again, I love the to come in to laugh and or learn, depending on the day, and just the warmth. There are lots of exchanges, lots of useful exchanges. To your point about, one of the things I don't like about Facebook groups, and how most of them are managed. And some of this is not even about Facebook or Facebook groups, but um, to me, when you came from the Facebook group to Mighty Networks, and this was intentional, you said it, is you got rid of a lot of the weeds. Like, let's get to the flowers, let's get to the value, let's get to really, um, growing as podcasters, as content creators, whether you're podcast host, podcast producer, podcast editor, maybe just a podcast listener, or whatever the combinations there are. I definitely have, watched other people grow and have grown myself, and hear, um, your growth as the lead. All right, it is the half hour. Final words. You want to give us the URL and drop anything else that people should know listening?
Yeah, definitely. One, you can go to, if you would like to learn more about the Black Podcasters Association, you can go to blackpodcastersassociation.com. If you want to follow us on our socials, make sure you do that. We do a lot of education, training. I'm also, working on soft skills, hard skills, personal development. All of those things are important to us. So we really focus on a lot of that as well. My goal is I want everybody that's joined the group a year from now, or whenever they grew up, from when they came in, a year from that time period, they should be in a different space from what we offer in the community. But if you would like to learn more about the workshops and trainings we do, you could subscribe to our newsletter. That's simple. It's blkpodnews.com. You can go to blkpodnews.com to subscribe to our newsletter. I tend to put some events that I curate and figure out might be beneficial to all podcasters in the industry in there, just our own trainings and workshops. If you would like to contribute to the newsletter, please reach out to me as well. That's newsletter at blackpodnews.com. I'm definitely looking for contributors. If you have information you would like to share, press releases, stuff like that, we'd love to have that content in our newsletter as well. And you can follow us on all our socials. Just look for Black Podcasters Association. I would tell you that it's all the same across the board, but because of the length of our name, not everybody allows us to put the whole word. So you have to just do a quick do a quick search on the platform and you'll find us. So and definitely if you haven't already, get your tickets to Afros and Audio. I'm excited about it because I know we're gonna have a lot of members there that I haven't met yet personally, face to face. And I'm excited to have the whole association representing that Afros and Audio. But definitely check out Afros and Audio Festival this year and get your tickets, whether you get them virtually or in person. You should definitely be there this year. It's gonna be nice.
I want to underscore that, and if you can come to,
Sorry, and make sure you check out the awards, and make sure you
oh
get your
yeah,
votes in. That's important. I think it's important that everybody, a lot of our, I know you, last words. A lot of us are really, a lot of this stuff is coming out of our own pockets. One, but two, a lot of us are doing this with no reward, no personal reward or gain, because we're still in the growing stages and stuff. And it's not easy for a black black podcast awards. It's not easy for an Afros and Audio. It's not easy for a lot of these, especially quote unquote, I hate to say it, but marginalized people, organizations that are in this space that are trying to make changes in the podcast industry. We do get support, we do get sponsorships here and there, but it's still not enough to sustain it sometimes. And it's important that when you go out there and vote for the Black podcasters that are nominated in the Black Pods Awards. We're still not represented. I know the Ambies are coming out. We still, there's still a lot of disparities in that industry, in that space. So it's important, whether it's the Black Podcasting Awards, Black Latino Awards, Latino Awards, Asian Awards. I'm so used to saying Black, that we have to support each other and we have to support these people. So if you haven't voted yet, make sure you get your votes in before Saturday.
and voting has been extended, so Sunday noon Eastern time. It'll almost always be Eastern time, right? Because we're Brooklyn based. Yes, thank you for all of that. And I want to underscore for the association and Afros, and comes from quote unquote a prior life, or so to speak, a career that I did. No one makes lasting change in their lives without at least one person supporting them, and often they do it through communities. Full stop. Whether it's smoking, losing weight, putting on muscle, podcasting, for money, podcasting just better for awards, or whatever it is. We need each other. We're interdependent species, biologically and otherwise, and we need community in different ways, right? Depending on where we're at in our lives, our journey, however you want to say. You need community. There's science behind that, / data, and I've seen it many years ago. Totally different conversation, but in my vegan world, and making a movie there, and how people did and did not make changes watching the movie. But if movies or TV shows or even podcasts could change people, snap my fingers, hopefully can't hear, at a drop of a dime, it'd be a very different world. It'd probably be a non-sexist, racist, non-homophobic, and dead world. Obviously, that's not the world today. So we continue to need community and variety of voices, podcasting, and. The Afros and Audio, well, you can look at that replay. That's from Tuesday. I spoke with Talib, the creator of founder of Afros and Audio, with Latrice, who's been integral to the team and the growth there. We're certainly past our time, and like I said, we know we can keep going. Corey and I've had some. They're not epic for me. That might be for him. Very long Zooms take me back to pre-beeper days when I used to spend a lot of time on the landline phones, and that's what they were in those days. Thank you again, Corey, for being a sponsor this year and otherwise a supporter, friend, and ally. Thank you for having the association community. I didn't rib you, so I'll do it now as I close down. The summer social was great in person. I know there was a streaming online component too. I'm nudging with my virtual elbow for a November or year-end holidays, something, even if it's just all virtual, just so we can get together and maybe give one or more of give other members some laughs and giggles and maybe some sort of toast. It's definitely been quite a year and counting in so many ways. Thank you again for everything you're doing. Thanks to everybody who joined us in the room, whether you're here or have popped out. And thanks if you're listening to the recording. Corey and I will definitely have more conversations. Somewhere there's a wish list that we made early this year, probably some town halls or something like that. Um, yeah, a
Definitely.
whole different social. Thank you again, and we're out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you everybody for joining this. I think it was a great conversation. Going to be doing some more conversations on Twitter Spaces. Make sure you follow Black Pod Awards. Follow Black Pod, BLKPODASSOC on Twitter. Definitely check us out on there. If you haven't voted for in the Black Podcasting Awards yet, you can go to their website, blackpodawards.com, to vote. I think it's vote.blackpodawards.com. I could be wrong. Again, if you guys would like to support us or you'd like to stay up to date, subscribe to the newsletter at blkpodnews.com. Definitely looking for contributors. If you have any information you would like to share with us, you would like to contribute, press releases, so forth, etc. If you want to advertise your events or podcasts, reach out to me. You can do that via our social medias or at newsletter at blackpodnews.com. If you would like to show your support and get your official Black Podcaster News Association t-shirt, go to www.prestonso.com/BPA and you can order your Black Podcasters Association t-shirt and let the world know that you're a supporter, that you understand our mission and you want to support our mission. With that being said, thank you for checking in. I'm going to try to do more of these types of lives and conversations, even if it's on Instagram Live. I'm trying to stream it on here as well. But I really appreciate and I would love to get your feedback and talk with you in regards to how we can collaborate and move Black creatives and Black voices in the podcasting and audio space forward. So with that being said, have a good day. Make sure you check out the Black Podcasting Awards on Sunday. If you need to get tickets for that, for the live session, you can look on Eventbrite. I think they have it on there, but go to their website, blackpodawards.com, to get you to learn more about how you can get tickets and how you can support them. They are a 501c3 nonprofit as well. So if you're looking for a place to get some tax breaks, reach out to them. Anyway, with that being said, my name is Corey Gumbs. I'm the founder of the BPA, Black Podcast Association. Have a good day, and I will talk to you guys real soon.